What if I told you that even after weeks of decluttering, your home could still feel overwhelming? It's not your fault, and you're not alone. Today, I'm going to share the hard truths about why decluttering often doesn't stick and how you can break the cycle once and for all. I'm a realtor, and I'm someone who works with clients in their homes on a daily basis. I see firsthand the struggles that my clients face when it comes to decluttering. Whether it's helping someone downsize to a smaller home, sell the estate of a loved one, or just prepare a home to sell, clutter is an issue that seems to rear its head constantly. I see so many families trying to downsize or sell the estate of someone they loved, and I know how overwhelming it can be. It's exhausting emotional work. And let me tell you, after seeing this again and again, I don't want my kids to have to deal with this later in life, or for that matter, to be doing it myself when I'm older and should be enjoying myself, not struggling with my stuff. In today's world, we're constantly being told that we need more. Social media, advertising, influencer marketing, it's everywhere, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of wanting more, bringing in more things, believing that that next purchase is somehow going to improve our lives. I've fallen into the trap more times than I'd care to admit. But what we don't realize is that all of this consumption is making the clutter worse. It's pushing us to buy things we don't need, which eventually becomes the stuff we have to declutter. Today, I want to share 5 hard truths about decluttering: what works, what doesn't, and what we often overlook in the process. The first point is that decluttering alone won't fix the problem. Decluttering is a huge task, but it's only part of the battle. If you don't address the underlying issues, why the clutter is accumulating in the first place, you're going to find yourself right back where you started. Decluttering is like cleaning the surface of a dirty pond. You might remove some of that visible debris, but if you don't address the underlying issues, like the muck at the bottom of that pond, it's just going to keep coming back. The real solution here is to understand what's causing the clutter and how to prevent it from accumulating again. You need to manage a few key things in order for your home to maintain its clutter-freeness or clutter-free status. That's the inflow, what's coming into your home; the outflow, or what's leaving your home; your systems, and how you organize what stays; and your mindset, your relationship with your stuff. When I went through my own downsizing journey, I'd declutter and take items to the donation center, then turn right around and head to a thrift store or a yard sale. My love for thrifting, I grew up in a family that loved finding treasures, and that makes it hard for me to break that cycle. I'd come home with a new vintage lamp or an antique chair, only to realize that I was just adding more things to a home I was actually trying to declutter. It wasn't until I stopped and asked myself why I was bringing these items in that I made real progress. I had to learn to say no to new purchases, especially the ones that weren't necessary. It was about being more intentional with what I was allowing into my home. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of what's already there. It's about creating new habits that prevent more clutter from accumulating in the future. That's a big one to remember. The second point that I want to make is that you need to choose your hard. Decluttering is hard, and no one's disputing that. But so is living with clutter. Studies show that clutter just doesn't take up physical space. It also takes up mental space. It contributes to stress and anxiety. And that's because living in chaos puts your brain in a constant state of fight or flight, which can have serious consequences for your mental and physical health. So when you think about it, it's really a matter of choosing which kind of hard you want to deal with. Is it the hard of decluttering, which takes time, effort, upkeep, and emotional energy, but ultimately leads to freedom and clarity? Or is it the hard of living with constant stress and overwhelm because you're surrounded by too much stuff? Even now, I have to remind myself of this every time I feel the temptation to hold on to something that just doesn't serve me anymore. The long-term stress of clutter is so much harder to live with than the temporary discomfort of letting something go. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather deal with the temporary pain of decluttering that live in a constant state of chaos. The third point I want to make is that no one wants your stuff. I've said this before, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but it does bear repeating. It is one of the toughest truths when it comes to decluttering. If you're downsizing or getting rid of things for future generations, it's important to realize that your kids or loved ones might not want what you think they will. That's not to say they won't want your family heirlooms or those sentimental pieces, but they likely won't want your chipped mugs or the pieces that don't fit the way we live today. I've seen this with many clients over the years. We attach sentimental value to objects because they represent memories, but those memories don't always carry the same weight for others. It's hard to let go of items that have been in your family for generations, but often they're not as meaningful to the next generation as we think they are. When I was decluttering before my move, I had to face this reality head on. I thought my kids would be thrilled to inherit all my treasures, but in the end, I realized that they didn't want the things that I thought they would, and that's okay. What's important is keeping what you love, brings you joy, and what serves your current life. Don't hold on to things just because you think someone else might want them one day. Point number 4 is that there is no magic decluttering method. I want to share something important with you. There is no one-size-fits-all solution to decluttering. It's not about following a specific system or checklist, whether it's the 4-box method, the KonMari method, or any other strategy. The key to decluttering is consistent action. A lot of people get stuck because they feel like they need to find the perfect method. The truth is, the secret is in the execution. It's not about finding the perfect system, it's about doing the work. Even if you only declutter for 15 minutes a day, that adds up over time. So start small, take action, but be consistent. It's the only way to get through the process. And if you find yourself struggling to get started, remember that it's okay to just pick one small area to focus on. It could be your closet, or a kitchen drawer, or a pile of paperwork in your office. Once you start, you're going to gain momentum, and that's going to keep you going through the tough points. The 5th point I want to make is the emotional challenge of letting go. Decluttering isn't just about the physical stuff. It's a deeply emotional process. As someone who grew up in a thrifting household, I have a deep connection to finding treasures. That chase is so exciting. Whether it's an old vintage vase or picture frame, I can get caught up in the excitement of discovering something new, especially if it's a unique item. But I've had to learn how to be mindful of the things I bring into the home. And I'm still working on that today. And I think I'm going to the rest of my life. The pressure to keep up with social media and consume more and more and more can be overwhelming. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that we need the latest trends, the latest gadgets, or the coolest clothes. But the truth is, the more we bring into our lives, the more we have to manage and maintain. And in the process, we can lose sight of what truly matters. Decluttering is about more than just getting rid of those things. It's about making room for the things that truly matter. The memories, the experiences, and the people who bring value into your life. Once I let go of the pressure to keep up with trends, I found that I could focus on the things that truly brought me joy. And that's what I want for you too. Remember that the process takes time. The challenge many of my clients face is that they're working against a deadline. They want to list their house for sale, or they have to divest the contents of a loved one's estate. They don't have time to deal with the emotions that come with decluttering a lifetime's worth of memories. And that adds another layer of stress to the process. But if time is on your side and you can work through the decluttering process on your own terms, I highly recommend you do so. Start now if you can. It will make it easier for everyone, including yourself and your loved ones in the long run. I'd love to hear from you. What has been the hardest part of decluttering for you? Is it the emotional challenge of letting go of sentimental items, or the constant temptation to bring new things into your home? Leave a comment down below and let's have a conversation about it. I know that decluttering is a very personal journey, and hearing your thoughts could be very helpful for someone else who's going through the same thing. Now that you've got a deeper understanding of why decluttering can be so challenging, are you ready to take action? If you're unsure where to start, check out 20 common things you do not need. It's a great starting point if you don't know where to begin. I walk you through the most common items we all hold on to without realizing they're just adding to the clutter. Click over to that video now and let's keep working together to build the clutter-free home and life you deserve. See you over there.